All right, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are back and we are live in the palace. But before I jump in, I just want to wish you all a happy family day on tomorrow, a happy Thanksgiving. Um, I don't go live on holidays. Just because I just think every content creator, if you can, it's always good to take a little rest and relaxation, as well as our subscribers. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. And listen. Let's give a shout out to the cookers. Those of you that are cooking in the kitchen, cheers to you, baby. I got a mimosa in hand. I understand the game when it comes to cooking. I'm the cooker in the house. So, y'all, show the cookers some respect, some admiration, and a little bit of recognition because they are doing a hell of a job holding it down, making sure that they get everything together for you tomorrow so that you can enjoy your Thanksgiving. With that being said, we are here today to talk P. Diddy. We're talking P. Diddy. And I've been thinking about it and thinking about it, and I've covered it and I've given my take on it. But I want to come from an angle of a different perspective when it comes to P. Diddy. And y'all, just the dark abuse, the satanic rituals that he's done over the span of a decade, if not many decades, okay? And let me just be very clear. Although Cassie was brave enough to file a civil suit against him, let's be very clear. I don't believe she's the only victim, in my opinion, based on the court documents and also based on my observation of his past behaviors. I am of the belief that P. Diddy, there's a strong possibility that he may have abused both men and women, boys and girls, and subjected all of his victims to similar, if not worse, abuse than what Cassie has detailed and outlined in her civil suit. Now, I just want to give you a different angle of all of this, and then we're going to go live because I just want to have a grown up conversation. And it could or it may be triggering for some of you. And I ask that you prioritize your mental health and your well being at any point throughout the live conversation and or this conversation. Should it become too much for you, feel free to log off. Feel free to log off. There's no wrong in taking care of yourself. Okay. Now, with that being said, you know what? Let me back up. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
All right, so let's jump in. A few weeks ago, there was a YouTube video that came across my feed and it caused me to pause. And I said, I have to do a review on this. I didn't know where to plug it in, but I said, I need to talk about it. And it talked about the 10 signs of a down low man. And for those of you that are not familiar with the terminology, it originated in the 90s. Okay. It originated in the 90s. And we need to talk about it. And the reason why I feel like we need to talk about it because I feel like it's relevant to what we are seeing and or witnessing in the court documents with Cassie in her civil suit against the abuse that she faced with P. Diddy. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the slang, Downlow Men, it is a man who is on the down low and is often on the receiving end or giving of homosexual activity, pleasure, and but they don't view themselves as gay. Okay? They're often married to women, if not in full-fledged relationships with women, and they hide behind their masculinity. They do not profess themselves to be gay. And I'm going to go over some of the red flags, okay? They do not identify with homosexuality and they claim to be straight, but behind closed doors, when it's all said and done, they engage in rigorous activity, sexual activity with men. And there's 10 red flags that RC Blake's laid out. And I thought, oh my God, as I was listening to them, I said, this is spot on for the document and the behaviors and the details that Cassie outlined in her civil suit. And I said, I got to talk about this. And that's what I'm going to do today. Because when you listen closely, based on what you've seen in her court documents, a lot of this behavior was exhibited towards Cassie, and I'm sure many, many others, for those of you that are tuned in that may have been a victim of his, um, towards the victims. Now, it is no secret that rumors have been swirling for many, many years about P. Diddy's appetite for men behind closed doors. And it seems to me that his appetite for men seemed to stem around power, control, lust, dominance, and also humiliation. Because I got a hold of a video. It's you can find this video on Instagram of P. Diddy exposing Justin Bieber in a very vulnerable position with another man. Okay. Not only that, there's rumors that it's being alleged that P. Diddy is also responsible, allegedly, for abusing Usher at a very tender young age, as well as Justin Bieber. And my thoughts and my prayers go out to those victims that are nameless. And not because you don't matter, but because you don't have a huge platform as some of the people that we're talking about. But let's review some of these traits and then let's go live. I want you all to weigh in with your thoughts, your feelings, and your ideology around it all. Let's jump in. I realized I didn't read the full definition of a download man. So, a download man, according to Wikipedia, and I just want to give you what I found so that we're all on the same page. Down low is an African American slang term specifically used within the African American community that typically refers to a sexual subculture of Black men who usually identify as heterosexual but actively seek sexual encounters and or relations with other men. They practice gay cruising. Gay cruising is where you just cruise in the streets looking for an encounter with a man, okay? And frequently don a specific hip hop attire during these activities. They want to present themselves as masculine, okay? And most of them are in relationships with women, so they have to leave the house in a masculine state, okay? They generally avoid disclosing their same sex sexual activities, even if they have female sexual partners. They are married. That means if they're married to a woman or if they're single, but in committed relationships and or indulging slash entertaining women. The term is also used to refer to a related sexual identity. Down low has been viewed as a type of impression management that some of the informants use to present themselves in a manner that is consistent with perceived norms about masculine attributes and behaviors. So now that we've level set, I want to jump right in and talk about P. Diddy exhibiting strong traits of being a down low man. Now, there may be some overlap that's similar to a man who is simply cheating or gallivanting, or as the what the young folks say, frolicking, having a good old time. He RC Blake's was kind enough to review 10 red flags that women should be on the lookout. But you know what? I'm going to challenge the notion that women should be looking out for. I'm going to also say gay men that are confident, strong, healthy about who they are, that love themselves, that love their lifestyle, so that they also don't fall victims to down low men such as the P. Diddy's and the alleged executives of Bad Boy Entertainment, right? And the reason why I think this is important, because these men do not identify as being gay. They identify as being heterosexual. So I think both men and women should be made privy to this information so that we can all move accordingly when it comes to our safety and well-being. Not only is it important that we protect the women and the girls, but it's also important that we protect the men and the boys. Okay? Now, there's 10 of them that RC Blake shared. I am only going to call out 5. I'm going to call out 5 and then I'm going to come back and review them in detail. Number 1, excessive secrecy. Number 2, avoidance of public displays of affection. Number 3, prefers perverted versions of sex. Number 4, strong negative thoughts and or reactions to homosexuality. And number 5, a lack of sexual intimacy with you as a woman or with women. Let's jump in. All right. So if there's anything that you can relate to, can't relate to, question, push back, want to push back, have more questions about, remember, we are going live 5 minutes after this. So once we play this premiere, get your holiday drinks, your wine, your mimosa, your hot tea, whatever you sipping on. Number 1, I read off all of the, I read off 5 of the 10 flags, right? Let's talk about excessive secrecy. Typically, one red flag of a down low man is he's very secret about his lifestyle. He's very secret with his phone, social media, who he's talking to. And he fails to provide a lack of details, right? When it comes to some of those items, you're always wondering, I wonder who that is. Or they come to make you feel like when they are on the phone, you feel like, you know what, let me prove to them I'm not nosy. Let me walk off the room, or let me go over here and let me pretend not to be listening. That's called grooming. They've groomed you into their lifestyle of secrecy. So they have an excessive need for secrecy. If you are in a committed relationship by way of marriage, love, baby mama, baby daddy, whatever it is that they've promised you, right? What's the big secret? If we love each other, and I'm not talking about where we violate each other and we going through folks' phone. I think that's a violation. But what's the big secret if I ask you questions? What's the big secret if I come in and say, hey, babe, who is that? Or hey, that's so and so. Shh, shh. Or they get quiet. So there should be no big secret when you are in a relationship with somebody. And I'm going to just tell y'all this, anytime you're giving your body over to somebody on a consistent basis, you know what? Let me back up off that one. So, what happens is when they have an excessive need for secrecy, oftentimes your intuition kicks in and you feel like something is just off. Something's not necessarily every day, but something was off by the way they walked outside to the garage, or they said they went to the gym, or whatever it is, whatever activity. So eventually, after enough of those behaviors have made an appearance, and now you're looking at a trend, you find yourself saying, I have to know that something is just off. So you go looking. And when it comes to women, most women go and they snoop looking for another woman when the entire time it's a man. So you see no traces of women. It's their homeboy from work, it's their best friend, it's their cousin's homeboy, it's their neighbor. So you say, oh, it's a coworker, it's a customer. And you say, oh, and remember, y'all, we're not talking about everyday men. We're talking about download men. So when you go snooping, you see no traces of another woman. If you are a woman trying to figure out what the hell is he up to? And then you back up off of him. The entire time you're looking for a woman, but it's really a man that he's engaging with. He has unexplainable absences, long absences, unaccounted for, and you better not ask. And not that he necessarily tells you or communicates that you shouldn't ask, he gives that energy. He gives the energy that makes you feel like you can't ask, or you don't have the right to ask, or you have not earned the right to ask. Frequent solo outings for no reason. And they're often consistent. Same day of the week, same time, whatever it is, very consistent. And they insist on it being them, and you're not invited. And well, how do I know, Queen Sheba? They may say something like, "Oh, this is just boys. Ain't no women gonna be there." Now, why would you want to come with all men? And just over and over and over, where you feel shut out to that piece and that portion of their life. Now, remember, we're talking about down low men, because some of you have the ability to hear what you want to hear, and you come in the chat and you want to argue. We're talking about download men. We're not talking about heterosexual men that are cheating. Okay. We are talking about down low men that have an appetite for other men, but instead of them being true to who they really are, they engage in full-fledged relationships with women, and behind the woman's back, they're actually in a sexual relationship with the man. Okay. So that they are not deemed gay and or homosexual. And they prefer to engage in activities alone. They don't want you coming to the gym. They're going to go play basketball. They're going to the cigar bar. They're going to go do some type of work that women, I don't know. You just look for those consistent patterns, okay? Number two, avoidant. Number two, avoidance of public displays of affection. Now, P. Diddy was extremely affectionate with Cassie. You know what? I lied. It was not affectionate. Extremely controlling. He would snatch her hand or snatch her waist, but you never really saw him being genuinely affectionate with Cassie and or Kim Porter or Young Miami. But when it comes to let's back it up. If you can't even relate to that, let's back it up to everyday women. They avoid public displays of affection. Most times people wouldn't even know he's with you if you didn't say it, if you didn't make it known as a woman. And people would be surprised to know that y'all are a couple. And in many facets, he may have managed to convince you that he's private. He don't want everybody in his business. I don't showcase my stuff on social media. And you fall for it. You fall for it because you say, okay, this is different. I got to respect that. So he's grooming you to not question him when he's secret. Number two, he's also grooming you that when he avoids public display of affection, grabbing your hand tenderly, because a masculine man, a heterosexual man that really likes you, we're not talking about one that's trying to hit it and quit it, but a man that really likes you and wants you to be his woman, oh, no, no, no. He's going to make sure that every man in the room know that you're his in a healthy way. We're not talking about an unhealthy way, okay? That you need as a woman to thrive, that should be a everyday natural occurrence, it's usually behind closed doors. That's number two. Avoidance of public display of affection. Number three, when he engages in sexual activity with you, he perverts the most perverted version of sex. No normality. And he's going to turn you out. And a lot of people like to say, oh, he just a freak or I'm just a freak. Mm-mm. Because that's what Puffy called his sexual activities, freak offs. He's going to turn you out in the most disgusting ways that you probably can't talk about when you're done. You're ashamed. You know it's not normal. It didn't feel right. It was rough. It felt like a violation to you and your femininity, right? And I don't want to go into too much detail, but let your minds wander. Didn't Arion say that Martell is infatuated with her bottom? I'm going to leave that there. Number four, he has strong negative thoughts and reactions to homosexuality. When he sees it or when he's sharing his thoughts and his opinions with you, He has a very unusual interest in gay or homosexual relationships and or behaviors, and it typically leans on the negative side, denouncing it, calling them names, overly concerned, calling it out in moments that don't even make sense, in situations that you wouldn't even think that a man, a masculine heterosexual man, would be paying any attention to, right? Always ranting and talking about gay people, gay men in particular, obsessed with the gay lifestyle by way of saying, I don't like that. And that's disrespectful, whatever he says, right? But to you, you're like, that's different, but you probably overlook it. Speaks out fanatically about the lifestyle. 9 times out of 10, when this is happening, it's usually done to deflect and hide what he's really about. He's creating a barrier and a blind side. And if I say it enough to you as a woman, you will never catch on that that's what I'm probably into. Okay. Number 5, a lack of sexual intimacy with you. He really doesn't desire you. And I'm not talking about men that have medical reasons, chronic conditions. That includes depression and mental health, where they really don't want to engage. You're not in a space to engage physically, mentally, or spiritually. That's not what I am talking about. I am talking about there is no reason in heaven or hell that you all should not have a healthy sex life. No medical reason. He just doesn't seem to want to touch you. He's rushing to bed. It's a persistent lack. It's not just once or twice. It's over and over and over again. And deep down inside, he's avoiding sex with you. And when he does have it with you, it takes a long time to get there. Use your imagination. And sometimes this may come off or be passed off as not being attracted to you. He may attack you and tell you, oh, you've gained weight, or I like this, or I like that, or you don't do this right, right? You don't do that right. And because of that, that's why I'm not engaged. No, don't fall for it. Oftentimes, and this, like I told you, this is a grown up conversation. He may not be able to maintain an erection, but he can do everything else with you, but sleep with you, right? Even if he tries, he can't do it. He can take you to dinner, he can take you to social events, he's open for photo ops, family gatherings, but no sex, no affection, no emotional connection. And that's because he doesn't really desire you as a woman. What he prefers is a man. Is that wrong? No. Being gay is not against the law. But when you're deceiving both men and women, that's wrong. And that's why we're talking about it, right? Um, and I just want you all to know it's not you. It's not you at all. You didn't do nothing. You're not too fat. You're not too ugly. You're not less attractive. He just don't want a woman. Number 6, he's physically violent with you for no reason. Not that a man should ever have a reason, but he's quick to be physically violent and brutal towards you. Verbally abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive. He wants to undercut your femininity, take away your dignity, your soul as a woman, and make you regret ever entering into a relationship with a man. And he does it because he really hates women, because he feels forced to be in relationship with you. He really wishes you was his man and not his woman. And as a result, he's going to abuse you and make you pay for the societal pressures that he feels like he's under for not being able to be himself for whatever reason, right? So he's going to annihilate you, strip you of everything that could give you an ounce of confidence to be proud of. And let the truth be told, in most situations, he wishes he was a woman. He wishes he did have a vagina. Okay. If you think about what Puffy did to Cassie, Cassie was a beautiful girl. But if you start to watch her evolution with him throughout the relationship, he started to to what is it? Add masculine qualities to her. I'll give you an example. Shaving one side of her head. So one side of her face was similar to that of a haircut of a man. If you started to watch some of the suits, the two-piece suits that she would come in, right? Just start to go back and research a little bit of how he stripped her of her femininity, her dignity, her rights as a woman. And that is what I wanted to share with you when we talk about the download traits that Puffy exhibited, pretending to be a heterosexual man, in my opinion. A man that really is gay, in my opinion, but for whatever reason doesn't feel comfortable coming out as gay. So what he does is what he has managed to do is use his money, his power, and his fame to devalue men and women that have become confident and beautiful, evolving, living in their truth. He's degraded straight women and he's degraded young boys that have maybe caused them to question their sexuality. And then he's degraded men that may or may not have been gay. And apart to me, when I think of allegedly, when I think about the psychology of it all, he hates all of them because they have reached a level of freedom and peace that he wishes he could have. Let's go live. I would love to hear your thoughts.